Why does an entire generation feel homesick for a place they never lived? Look around. Gen Z is buying disposable cameras. Millennials post "I miss the 90s" memes every single day. Older people talk about the 70s and 80s like an Eden they got kicked out of. Even kids now, actual children, are nostalgic. For eras they were not alive for aesthetics they only know from old photos, for a way of being that ended before they could remember it. The whole culture is mourning something. Stores are selling it back to us. Algorithms are feeding it to us. Brands are building entire campaigns around it. But here's the thing nobody seems to be asking. What are we actually mourning? Because I've watched a lot of people give answers to that question, and I think the obvious answers are all wrong. Not partially wrong, completely wrong. The real answer is something else entirely. Something stranger. Something that says less about the past than we think it does, and a lot more about what's actually happening to us right now. So let me walk you through it. The first answer people give is the objects. We miss the stuff. The cassettes, the flip phones, the disposable cameras with the plastic windows, the magazines on the kitchen table, the actual physical things we used to live around. And to be fair, there's something to this. We did lose something when we replaced objects with screens. Physical things had weight. They could be held, kept, broken, lost, found again 20 years later in a drawer. But here's the test. If the objects were really what we were missing, we'd be fine just buying them back. And we are buying them back. Vinyl is at peak sales. Disposable cameras are selling out. Flip phones are having a comeback. Polaroids are back in style. People are buying journals, paper books, wristwatches, board games. It doesn't fix it. You can buy the cassette tape, and you'll feel a small flicker of something, and then nothing. The longing comes back. You buy a film camera, you take a few rolls, you feel briefly happy, and then you're back where you started. Vaguely sad, vaguely missing something, scrolling something else. So the objects aren't actually it. They're a symptom of what we're missing, not the cause. Whatever the real answer is, it's hiding under the objects, not in them. Let's keep going. The second answer is the slowness. The past was slower. Things took longer. You waited for film to develop. You waited for songs to come on the radio. You waited for letters to arrive. Time itself moved at a different pace, and we missed that pace. This is closer to a real answer. But test it. People go on digital detoxes all the time now. They delete the apps for a weekend. They go on retreats with no phones. They book trips to remote cabins. They try meditation, they try journaling, they try hiking, and for a while, it helps. And then they come back to the same life, the same feeds, the same feeling of vaguely missing something. The slowness fix is real, but it's temporary, because the slowness isn't actually the thing we're missing either. It's another symptom. If you slowed everything in your life down tomorrow, kept everything else the same, you'd still feel it. The longing would still be there. It would just be slower longing. So that's not it. What is then? The third answer is the one people give when they're trying to be sophisticated about it. You're not really missing the past. You're just missing being young. This is the dismissive theory. The "you're not really nostalgic, you're just old" theory. And it gets brought out a lot. There's something to it. A lot of what we call nostalgia is, partially, the warmth of remembering yourself when you were young, healthy, optimistic, with everything still possible. But this theory has one very big problem. Gen Z feels it too. Teenagers, people in their early 20s, they feel this nostalgia. They wear the clothes, they listen to the music, they make videos about missing a decade they weren't even alive for. If nostalgia were just about being young, young people wouldn't feel it. They'd be happy. They'd be busy being young. But they aren't. They're nostalgic for things they never lived through. That breaks the theory. So nostalgia isn't really about youth. It's about something everyone is missing right now, young and old. The people who lived the 90s and the people who only know them from photos, we're all in the same feeling, which means we're all missing the same thing. What is it? Here's what I think we're actually mourning. Not the past, not the objects, not the slowness, not our youth. We're mourning unobserved life. The era, any era, before everything we did could be measured, recorded, ranked, scored, optimized, fed back to us as a metric or a recommendation or a piece of content for someone else's feed. The era before being watched was the default condition of everyone. Think about what you could do in 1995, or 1985, or 1975 that you cannot do now. You could watch a movie without an algorithm noting what you watched. You could play a song without it joining your data profile. You could have a conversation that wasn't a database entry somewhere. You could take a photo that was just a photo, not a file with metadata, location stamps, and facial recognition tags. You could walk down a street without being recorded by 6 cameras. You could buy something with cash and have no record of it. You could write a journal that no platform would ever see. You could be sad on a Tuesday and have it not become part of a marketing profile. You could have a year of your life that didn't generate data. That's the thing. That's what's gone. And here's the part that makes this strange. That's why Gen Z feels it too. They were born into a world that never gave them unobserved life. They've been on camera since they were infants. Their first words went on Instagram. Their school report cards generate data. Their friendships are measured and optimized by the platforms they exist on. They're not missing a decade they never lived in. They're missing a quality of existence that everyone before them had, by default, just for being alive. They know it exists, vaguely, because they see it in old photos. The people in the old photos are doing something modern people can't do. They're just being, without being graded, without being seen by 10,000 strangers, without anyone, including themselves, making content out of them. That's what we're all missing. Not the 90s, not the cassette tape. Just the feeling of being a person who isn't being watched. If this is right, and I think it is, then a lot of the things we're doing about nostalgia aren't going to fix what we're trying to fix. Buying back the objects doesn't help. The cassette tape still gets bought through a phone, ordered through an app, delivered by a system that tracks the purchase. The cassette isn't the problem. Being observed buying the cassette is the problem. Recreating the past doesn't help. The aesthetic vintage TikTok doesn't get you unobserved life. It gets you a performance of unobserved life, watched by 20,000 strangers. Slowing down doesn't help on its own. You can slow your life all the way down and still be inside the algorithm. What would help is something stranger and harder. It's finding small, repeated moments of unobserved life inside your present. Doing things no algorithm sees. Writing things no platform reads. Having conversations that don't become posts. Taking walks nobody knows you took. Having one whole evening that doesn't generate a single data point. Not as a detox, not as a retreat, as a normal part of every week. That's the closest you can come to giving yourself the thing you've been missing. Because the thing you're missing was never located in the 90s. It was located in the space between you and the rest of the world. A space that used to be private by default and isn't anymore. That space can still exist. It just has to be made on purpose now. So here's what I want you to do this week. Pick one thing you currently document. Just one. A walk, a meal, a song you're listening to, a moment with someone you love. Then do it without documenting it. No photo, no story, no mention, no tweet, no text to anyone. Just the moment, just you in it, just the people you're with, and nothing leaves the room. See what it feels like. I'm guessing it'll feel a little weird, a little like withdrawal. Your hand will want to reach for the phone. Your brain will want to know how to frame what's happening so you can tell someone about it later. Try to let that go and see if, at the end of that moment, something feels different, quieter, maybe a little sad, or maybe a kind of relief you haven't felt in years. That feeling is the thing. That's what you've been mourning. It's not gone. It just has to be made on purpose now. What's one thing you wish you could do without it being recorded, posted, or seen? Be specific. Just one. Drop it in the comments. You might find half of us are missing the same thing.